Collagen back and it's collagen it's back cause he's in college and he's back, he's in college and he's back, he does college and he's back, he does college and he's back, collagen back and collagen back and collagen back.
Welcome back to College and Back. Today is a special day for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is my first podcast since I have kind of changed up the channel to make it videos and podcasts. I like doing podcasts, but because of COVID, I haven't really been able to find a ton of people to do them with. But today is a special day because it is our first one back, and I have none other than my friend Blake from the Bubble Bros podcast. So what's up, Blake? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. It's such an incredible honor to be on your podcast, Nick.
Yeah. So, and by the way, if y'all didn't know, this is technically Blake's first face reveal on a podcast. He's on Instagram. If you've been on his Instagram or on the Bubble Bros Instagram, you've seen it. But on a podcast, this is technically your first face reveal.
Yes.
About that.
Yes. This is quite a special day.
Yeah, and if y'all don't know, we're recording this at night, so it's pretty dark where both of us are. So apologize for that, but we'll make it work. Okay, so first thing I just wanted to go over, we haven't really talked about this at all because I haven't done a podcast with anybody. But I just want to know how school ended for us. Like we were in some classes together. We did a project, we worked with each other. So how did it all go in for you?
So you mentioned the project that we worked on together, and I can't help but to feel slighted on the project because I mean, we practically had the same thing. I mean, we only didn't work with each other for the last 5 weeks of school, and I ended up getting 10 less points than you did and everyone else in the group.
Yeah, I don't really know why. I mean, I guess maybe because you did it the last day. I know you texted me. You were texting me on the last day it was due, and you're like, okay, what do I do with this? Maybe you had something to do with it, but I don't know.
Absolutely not. I
You don't think so? No?
Best
Okay.
under pressure.
Okay, well, did you end up doing okay in that class though?
Yes. I pulled out with around 3.5 for the end of the semester. So.
All right. Awesome. That's good. So I wanted to also, before we kind of get into or what I wanted to talk about for the majority, I wanted to bring up a couple different points. One, I don't know if y'all remember this, if you're fans of College and Back and of me, you would know what I'm talking about here. But I was on actually the Bickel Bros on Blake's podcast, their first guest, actually. I was their first guest on the podcast. And afterwards, we had a little bit of an argument. I don't know if you remember this, Blake, but we were texting each other on our group chat. And you had mentioned something about Minecraft and how you had to get off the call to play Minecraft. And I had said Minecraft was dumb or stupid or something. Do you remember that?
Oh my goodness. Yes. I'm a big anti humor. That's kind of like where all my laughs come from, the anti-humor realm.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in that meme community, Minecraft is king. So you can't say anything bad about Minecraft, even if it was a joke.
Well, I was not aware of that, and also I was just kind of playing along with the joke. I did not mean Minecraft is actually stupid. Just want to get that out of the way right now. There's no beef between us. I didn't mean what I said, even if it is offensive to you. I am very sorry about that.
No offense was taken. It was just all playing along.
Yeah. Also, you might take offense to this. Hopefully not, but you might. I was listening to your podcast when you had Jacob on, and I couldn't help but laugh and also posted on my Instagram about Bib Lit because we were all in the same Bib Lit class together, actually. And when Jacob was talking about how you relate to every class, I just had to laugh and put that on my story because you were late to almost every Bib Lit class.
Yes, I was. there's I'm a commuter, and I drive around 30 minutes every single day to go to school, and you know, this is a pitiful excuse to make it, but it's an 8 a.m. and I don't know, it takes 30 minutes to get up and get dressed, and then of course, you have to spare some time for breakfast, and then by that time, you have another 30 minutes, and if you're lucky without traffic, but there's always school zones and everything, and of course car troubles, and whatever other calculations you have, and of course that was the fall semester, so ice windshields and all of that you have to calculate, and I just didn't do a good job. That was my first semester in college, and having an 8 a.m. was probably the worst decision of my life.
Yeah, I mean, it was not a fun class for me either. I lived about 2 or 3 minutes from that place. I could just walk out of my dorm and get right there. And I do have to say, I was never late for a class, but I was pretty close a couple times. So I can't really talk either because I was late. And that, by the way, that teacher we had was not very fond of you being late to class either. He would, just like Jacob said on your podcast, he would kind of make jokes about it. So he wasn't the best teacher to have at 8 a.m. is all I'll say about that. But
I don't know. He had something in his coffee keeping him awake, though. I'll say that. He was so peppy every single morning.
yeah, he was. So I know you put a poll, since I put that thing on Instagram, you put a poll up about if you were actually late. Do you know how that poll actually turned out?
So 20 people voted, and all 20 of them voted against me. And it was unanimous that I was late every single day.
Yeah, you weren't late every day. I remember towards the end when we had our final, it was something where you actually were there. I remember that.
Yeah, I did my best. I did my best. There were a lot of times when I was late, but
yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, so just for y'all watching this video on YouTube, is the only place you can watch it is on YouTube. So I didn't want to, I wanted to say that if you're watching, I'm going to try to put this on Anchor and Spotify and possibly some other podcast platforms. So if you're listening to this on Spotify or Anchor, you will not actually be able to see Blake's face reveal, unfortunately. So if you're listening and you want to go see Blake's face, which I know everybody does, it's a beautiful face, go onto YouTube. Consider subscribing to College and Back so you can see Blake's beautiful face. How about that? You like that, Blake?
Absolutely. Nice little plug right there.
Yeah, it was. Okay. So, and ignore my face, by the way. I played a round of golf today, and I kind of got sunburned a little bit. So if you see my face and you see it all red, it's because I played a round of golf. I put a lot of sunscreen on, too. That's one thing I hate. You put all the sunscreen on, and you still get burned. Like, have you ever experienced that before?
So I can't say that I'm cursed with the skin tone to have to worry too much about sunscreen.
Yeah.
But I still have my times where I get burned. But I grew up in Florida, so
you did.
You had to be careful. You had to be careful. You go mess around outside for 8.5 hours and
yeah, no, like I burn very easily. So like if I go outside in the sun for more than an hour and don't put sunscreen on, I'm done for the next week. My face will be red. Like it's bad. So I put sunscreen on 2 or 3 times while I was out there on the golf course. And for y'all who don't know, golf takes about 4 hours to play. And I put it on 2 or 3 times in those 4 hours. I still got burnt. So I don't know what that.
You gotta worry about the SPF, the SPFage.
Hey, it was good. I don't know what it was actually. What's the best kind of SPF? Isn't it like
you probably want I don't even really know, but like I mean Texas heat, golf.
It was good. It was a good SPF.
You probably want nothing really below 90.
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly how SPF works, but it was something pretty high. But I don't know. My skin is just weird sometimes. So anyway, so if y'all see my face and are wondering, I play golf today. So just letting y'all know that. Okay, Blake, I have some questions for you. So you went on this thing, this spring break right before COVID hit, actually, or it was hitting right when y'all were there, I guess. But you and a couple other of my friends went on this thing called Beach Reach at our school. So it was basically this mission trip where you went out to can't remember. You'll have to say what place you went to, but you went to kind of minister to a bunch of people. So tell me a little bit about how your experience was.
I'm so glad you asked. Beach Reach was an absolute trip, out of the park. Amazing, amazing experience. So we had around 23, 25 people who went to South Padre in Texas. And what happened was we got in a van and we left. It was actually like 5 vans. And we left and we took, I don't even know, it's like an 11-hour drive to South Padre. And so we had an 11-hour drive where we actually spent the night in Houston, and then we got back up and we went back down and we finished out on day 2 of our trip to get there. And as soon as you get in South Padre in spring break, it's a complete party atmosphere. Like you probably like, like, oh, South Padre, like, it's kind of, synonymous with the kind of party life and frat guys.
Yeah.
And it's, it lives up to all expectations. I'll tell you that. We go there actually, and we're driving in to like get to the place we're staying at so we can like unpack and then like go eat dinner. We actually saw about like 3 or 4 drunk drivers getting arrested or crashed. Yeah.
Dang.
So Beach Reach, while we're there, is just kind of like an Uber service, basically, but for free. And we get in the vans that we drove down there with, and we are in teams of 3 people. So it'd be like a driver, a navigator, and a talker. And so that's how they split you up for the bands. But you get there, and then they have these cards that you spend one whole afternoon passing around that has like the cell number for the car service and all of that. And then they also do pancakes, which is really cool. But I don't know, I'm kind of going all over the place. So they have the phone number, and they call the service, and they link up with a driver, and then the driver comes to go pick them up, and that's all done, of course, by the nav who helps out. And then the talker opens up the door, and then they give them a ride where they want to go. 90% of the time they're intoxicated, but also 2 out of 5 times they want to hear more. And so what the talker's talking about is just, explaining like why we're doing this, like why we're paying money and giving up your spring break to go hang out with these guys. We're not partying. We're not doing any of that. We're not drinking. And we're hanging out with these guys, and we're just trying to get them to know Jesus. And so that's pretty much what we did the entire week. And it was really, really cool to see how many people wanted to know more, how many people who already heard but didn't really like know like what to do next or something like that. And so like it's kind of also a really sad experience because you see a lot of people who feel hopeless, and so while you're like trying to give them hope and stuff like that, they just might not be biting into it. You might be planting a seed for someone else to come in behind you and help that person out. So
Yeah.
a lot of what we did during that trip was just super fruitful, super beneficial, and most of the people down there are not from like around Texas. They're
Yeah.
from like Minnesota and like Indiana, and there were people from Canada and Italy. Like nobody was really from Texas.
Yeah, and a bunch of spring breakers just having a good time, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense.
Trying to do whatever they want to do.
Just vibe out down there. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know it was gonna get that deep and everything, but it just got deep. So that's really cool though. So what were you? Were you? I'm guessing. If I had to guess, you would be a talker. I'm guessing you were a talker. Just
So we kind of switch around a lot of the
Okay.
times, but so my first couple. This is my first time going, and so I was kind of scared a little bit.
yeah,
And so like my first 2 or 3 nights, I didn't want to be like a talker because I didn't want to, I didn't know how to like interact with these people while they were, because I mean, you have an 11-hour car ride down there and people really love this trip. So, I mean, you have a ton of returners
yeah,
and people love to tell stories, and some of them can be really scary and like, yeesh.
yeah.
But so the first couple nights I decided to like stay back a little bit, and I was nav.
Mhm.
But then I stepped up and I was talker for about the rest of the week.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that experience with being a talker, and like, what were some of the more crazy people that you had, and what were some of the more like really cool, like, because you said about like 90% of them probably are like intoxicated or whatever, but I'm sure there's some that you had that weren't. So give me like your craziest person and your like least crazy person that you had.
So that whole like 90% are like intoxicated. It really kind of depends. Like
Yeah.
they do run in the morning too, because some people are still like lingering, and they do run in like the afternoon just to like keep it going. So it's like a 24/7 service, but because they don't want to shut it down. But at night, that's when it's really 90% of people are intoxicated. And so you're actually, I don't think that I mentioned this. It's a 24/7 service, so there's always someone in the van. But but you have some really bad shift times. You might have to, get up at 10 p.m. and work till like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.
Wow.
Something like that, and it's pretty brutal. And then you might have to wake up, at 8 the next morning because you have to go walk the beach or something like that. And yikes, it really takes a toll. But probably the craziest person I had was a group of Kent State football players.
Really?
Yes, Kent State. They were D1 football players, very athletic looking guys. Like, they're probably all, 6'4" at least. Crazy shredded, huge dudes. And they're all wearing like these tight, really short swim trunks. They have like the fanny packs going around their chest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like they were stunting, okay? And so we actually have a rule. So it's like you can't like bring alcohol in the van because there's minors or whatever, because I'm a minor and there's other people that are minors. So you have to, we do chug it or chunk it. So no alcohol in the van. And so they had like this pitcher of beer, and they all had them, and then they have like this. Have you ever been somewhere vacation-y where like all the adults have like the big tall, I don't even know, like 36-ounce margarita canisters or something like that? They all had those too, the skinny ones. Yeah. They all had those too. And so they go, and they get in, and then it kicks like that that whiff of alcohol just hits you right there. You're like,
Wow.
those guys are drunk.
Yeah.
But you start talking to them, and then they're like, like, where are you guys from? And they're like this, and they're like, oh, we're Kent State, but Jake's from Utah, and he's Mormon. And they start like throwing each other under the bus. They're like, oh, well, he
Yeah.
does this, and he does this, and he does this, and he does this. But I love God. I love God. I love God. I'm like, well, dude, that's what matters. And then we'd like have this like 30-minute conversation all about God and Jesus and stuff like that. And so a lot of them, I mean, no one committed from that van to Jesus, but they all wanted to know more. And we dropped them off at a bar. But I know that they were using the ride service, that someone else picked them back up. And they said that they were getting pancakes. We also do pancakes.
Yeah,
All right.
I heard about that. So are they like the really fluffy pancakes? Like, they're really good? Are they?
Let me tell you about this. We have old retiree winter Texans come in.
Okay.
All right. Winter Texans is, a little term for Northerners who come down to Texas during the winters because, they don't really like the cold. Of course, when you're old and you're retired, I guess you get that choice. But they have the pancakes down to a science. They've been doing this for about 30 years, so they know what they're doing on the pancakes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that. They have this machine where they just like squeeze it. It's like a pancake gun on the stove.
Really?
It's the perfect size for a pancake.
Wow.
And then they have another one, and they go for the butter.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect size for the butter.
Wow.
And they give it to you straight off and into your plate. And then you go eat pancakes with people from across the street from the bar, and you just eat pancakes with them, and you talk to them, and you try and get to know them a little bit, talk to them about Jesus and all that. And it's crazy what they'll say and stuff like that. And ooh.
Yeah, that is crazy. I just had pancakes tonight for dinner, actually. So you're making me want to eat. I have leftovers, so I'm really tempted after this to go get that pancake and eat it, because you're making me in the mood for pancakes right now. So,
there's nothing wrong with that.
I know, except for the fact that it's getting really late where I'm going to need to go to bed pretty soon. So anyway, that's really cool. So what is so you said like you would have possibly a shift at like 3 a.m. and then have to wake up at 8. So was there a shift like that for you where you literally got like a couple hours of sleep?
Yeah, so most of the time you're there, you'll be lucky for about 6 hours. Most of the time it's about 5 hours of sleep. So they're kind of good about it. Like if you have to have like a 3 a.m. shift, then most of the time you'll be waking up at like 10 or something like that.
Okay.
But you just do a lot. Like your day is jam packed with stuff to do, and while most of the time you're pretty tired, you don't really feel tired all that often, and you have great people hanging around.
Yeah, I guess that's true. If you have good people around you and you like doing what you do, then I guess that makes up for it. Did you know anybody beforehand that was in your little group, or did y'all switch off? Or were you with the 3 people just all the time?
So basically every night it changed who your group was. And sometimes you didn't even go out in the vans at night. Like a couple nights I worked the call center, and that was super cool too. That was super rewarding, talking to a lot of people on the phone. But before going on the trip, I only knew like one person, but he was a pretty good friend. And then after the trip, I mean, you know them all because I mean,
Yeah.
you spend, you know, most of the day you're up with them,
Yeah.
so you get to know them pretty well, and they're just great people, and I love them. Most of them are like my best friends now. So
Yeah. That's really cool. So I want to ask you, you've already kind of, told a lot about it, but like if you could convince me to go next year, how would you like what would you say that you think would convince me to go next year?
um so I really wanted to go on a spring break mission trip just
Yeah.
because I live in Longview, so it's like different for me going to school in Longview. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people like live really far away, and spring break's like their only time to go back to their family.
Yeah.
Um, some probably wish that they hadn't gone back to their family this past semester.
Yeah, I know.
Um, so of course it's a little different for me, I guess, because I really wanted to leave, but they give you a lot of options. Like I really wanted to do the Longview mission trip, but I didn't know about it until after Beach Reach.
Okay.
I had already signed up for Beach Reach, and I didn't know. I kind of wanted to do Mexico, but before I could sign up for Mexico, Mexico just kind of filled up, and I couldn't go to Mexico.
Well, you're probably pretty lucky that you didn't end up going there because then you would have had to stay over at the school for 14 days. So,
Yes, you see, I mean, there was definitely a silver lining to not going to Mexico,
yeah.
but and I really wanted to go to Utah because I really felt passionate about getting word out to Mormons and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and do drag race. But I don't know, it all kind of just fell in place to go to Beach Reach, and I don't know that I would change it for a thing. And
Yeah.
to convince someone to go, I think that really, um, I mean, people will be like, like, dude, it's life changing, dude, it's gonna be like the best, whatever. But like, it's for real. It is for real, and I mean it when I say like it was life changing, and it was so fruitful in every which way that you could see people just change throughout the entire week, and you could see people grow in their faith.
Yeah.
All 23 of us who went on the trip, they actually, at the end of the trip, we all got to share like one little thing. We actually all ended up like sharing our testimonies, and I thought that that was so cool. And it was really touching to get to know people like that, in a really intimate way, um, because a lot of people have this testimony where it's a large part of them and they kind of feel a lot of burden with it. But giving that up was such a good way for them to kind of progress and to reap. And I
Yeah.
think that that was amazing. And actually, our final night on the island, we do um, baptisms for anybody, and for spring breakers are welcome to get baptized. Um, for anybody who feels like called to get baptized, and I think that we had like 14 people get baptized.
Wow.
So I mean, that's just really amazing. They shared some statistics with us, but I don't know that I could find them on my
Yeah.
phone. It was, I mean, when you see the numbers of like people that are affected, and people that you're helping, I mean, it's really amazing. And then, of course, the whole community comes out and supports you for everything that you're doing. Like the fire department and the police officers, they just love all, like, seeing all the kids come together, and doing that for the island, because while there's still DUIs because some people don't want to use the service or something like that,
Yeah.
it's it's really saving lives.
Well, that's really cool. I mean, you definitely halfway convinced me. The only other thing I'm worried about, like you said at the beginning when you started talking how nervous you were about having to like talk to those people, that's kind of the reason I honestly thought about it because we're both pretty good friends with Nick, the other co-host to the Bickle Bros podcast. I've known Nick since kindergarten, so I've known him a long time. He was trying to get me to go on it, and I'm just like, well, I had an excuse. I had to get my wisdom teeth out, which is a whole nother story. But I probably would have rather gone on beach reach than get my wisdom teeth out. But another reason I probably wouldn't have gone this year just because of the worry part about having to talk to people and not that are intoxicated and not knowing what to say. So like that's my only worry. So like, what did you do with that? Like, how did you know what to say kind of when it was hard?
So dude, I had like the exact same fear and everything, and I think that every single person that's a talker has the exact fear at one point. But I mean, of course, I didn't start out talking. I took 2 nights off, and I probably picked up. I mean, our band probably picked up 30, 40 people in those 2 nights. So you have a lot of instances and experiences where you get to like, I mean, it's just having a conversation. You're just having a conversation with them. Because while they're intoxicated, they're still fairly receptive to what you're saying. And there was one time where like this guy was blackout drunk, and two of his girlfriends were just like in the car, and they were the only ones that were awake, and they were just on their phones, and they were just kind of like ignoring me and like blowing me off, and it was kind of like really kind of a little annoying there for a second. But he wakes up and he's like, bro, you're talking about Jesus. I want to know so much more about Jesus. I'm gonna stay here. And his 2 friends walked out, and they went to the club, and then he gave me his phone number, and then we started texting about Jesus for the entire week. I talked to him about Jesus, and that was just, I mean, you just have like these crazy experiences with people like that, because I mean, people are going to spring break to like, I mean, they're going to South Padre to kind of like fill this void in their life because they don't really have anything else. So I think that, I mean, while you might, be less inclined to like talk to someone who's like a partier or something like that, they'd be more inclined to like hear about Jesus in that sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's really cool. That's a really cool story. And that right there makes me want to go even more just to have an experience like that. Like you don't really always have to know what to say. Like it's just talk, like you said, talking, having a conversation with them, and stuff like that just happens sometimes. So that's really cool. So I know this podcast has been a lot of deep conversations and stuff like that. But so let's get into not that all that's not important because it is important, but I want this to be a fun podcast. So let's go into some other stuff. That's really cool about Beach Reach. Thanks for sharing all that with me. So during this COVID time, which hopefully is going to be over soon, I hope, I pray. What are some of the big things that you're doing right now? I know you said in the podcast I was in, you have like 5 jobs. So that's still the case. What are you doing now?
So at the time of the podcast, I still have the 5 jobs, but I well, throughout actually all of quarantine, I started the Bickle Bros podcast, and it grew to what it is. That was really cool to see me and Nicholas doing that. So that was a little quarantine project that we had, and it's been really fun. Just to take your mind off of things, and I don't know, being funny, whatever.
Yeah.
And then of course working. I've taken a lot of time to work, but Nick, you might be might be interested to know that
Oh, really?
throughout all this time, I've been planting and using my botany skills.
Really?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Wow.
I am quite the green thumb. Right now, I have about 5 different herbs growing, like oregano
Okay.
and basil, and I have rosemary, and I don't even know, I have thyme. I have one more. It's whatever,
Yeah.
they're kind of all the same once you get down to it.
Yeah. So you're just doing it like in your backyard, front yard, or something?
I just bought pots and potting
Yeah.
soil, and I bought the seeds, and they've been growing probably since I came back from spring break, actually.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, I know nothing about any of that. So like, if I sound dumb, then that's why, because I don't know anything about planting or.
There really isn't much to it. You get soil, but you wouldn't want to use your front yard or your backyard soil just because you kind of risk, having like disease in the
Okay.
soil and the dirt and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So you just kind of use um, the potting soil if you're going to use them in a pot. And I mean, they have the bags and stuff like that, and you can just read them for like whatever situation you have. And whoever you go to, they're real supportive, really cool. They'll love to help you out if that's something you're interested in, and they can totally explain it like way more clearly than I can. But I mean, if you want to grow a tree, they can help you grow a tree, because that's something I really want to do. I want to get a lemon tree. That'd be
Okay.
so cool to
Yeah.
make my own lemonade.
That would be really cool. Hey, if
That'd
you
be really
get
cool.
that done, hit me up. You can send some my way. I'll definitely buy some from you.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. So before I go to my next question, so you mentioned the Bickle Bros podcast. So I know you said it's going good, but I know from Nicholas, your other co-host, that y'all are almost done with your first season. So how was that going?
Yes. Our first season is coming to an end. We just actually, before I came on this podcast, we just finished recording our 10th episode and
Okay.
talking. We had a meeting with our season finale guest, which was super cool. We got to
Yeah.
talk to her, and then it was a pretty good conversation. And there's a lot that we're gonna be doing with that, and I think that that's really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, so I know y'all had switched from Monday to Friday, so you're still doing Friday uploads. So everybody that's watching this could know when to watch yours or listen.
Yeah, so we do Friday uploads, and that's weekly. We'll be doing that only for 2 more weeks, though. So
Really, something coming, something changing.
season finale.
I know, but like, is it going to change once you get to season two? The time.
Season two, we're probably going to have a little hiatus just so that we can recoup
Okay.
and brain fresh,
Okay.
refresh, whatever. I think
Brain
that
fresh.
when we first started, it kind of just became like a little lapsadaisy podcast,
Yeah.
and we're trying to take it in a more serious direction.
Okay.
And so I think that a lot of season two is going to be rebranding, and so we're trying to do that in a sense that can really stay true to our original patrons, in a way that doesn't betray them in any way.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you ever, I know, hopefully our little argument about Minecraft is over. I would love to be back on season two at some point. It'd be really fun.
Absolutely, Nick. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. Cool. So one other question before I have actually some other questions that I've asked every one of my guests on my podcast that I want to ask you as well. But before I get to those 5 questions, I have a couple other topics. So the first one, so what are you excited for school in the fall? What are you most excited about? Because as you know, or maybe don't know, I'm sure you probably do know at this point, our semester is actually going to be shorter than it originally was.
It's supposed to be like the same length though, just ending.
I think it's 2 weeks. It's actually 2 weeks shorter in total. It's only 14 weeks instead of 16. So.
Oh, is it really? I thought that we were canceling out all the breaks and then we were starting a week early.
Yeah, we are, but apparently it's still only 14 weeks.
How does the math even add up for that?
I don't know, and we don't have time on this podcast. Maybe after I'll show you, but it's only apparently they said it's only 14, so it's a shorter semester. And I know you have a new role at the school. So what are you most excited for?
That it is 2 weeks shorter and that we get an extra long winter break.
But I mean, about the actual like school part, like the semester, like what are you excited about? Like you have a new position and Yak, and so like what's
one of my
going to be the most fun about that, you think?
It's going to be interesting seeing what Yak looks like for next semester. The activities council is definitely like the cool man group on campus. Like you see them and you're like, yeah, they're definitely the cool kids.
They know what's up, yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of going to be one of those things. It's going to be hard to control, especially with just like with the whole pandemic thing going on. And I think that social distancing is still something that school's trying to implement. So while we're still going to try and do as many activities as we can and raise school spirit in any way that we can, I don't know what it's going to look like, or even if we're going to have an RG block party.
Yeah, I know all that's kind of up in the air. With my campus kind of role too, it's kind of up in the air for what we're going to do. I'm the SLA, so on my floor. So we've had talks before that if we don't have a big group of chapel, we might have our 4 devos count as chapel. I've heard that from people, which is really interesting. How does that work for you, by the way? I just have that question. Since you're a commuter, how do you since you can't really go to devos, do y'all still have like a devo group that you go to? Or is that not?
Like a life group or no? Yeah. I don't think that we have a devo group.
Okay, because I know on every floor they have weekly devos with their floor, so I just didn't know if you did that or not.
But I am a part of a great community devo group that we do. It's more of a life group actually, separate from the school life group. Okay. But it's actually called Bud, and I'm part of that group, and that has actually been super rewarding too.
I've heard great things about that. I know I think your last guest, Jacob, actually told me about that one time, and you've told me about that before too. So I should look into that. I should try to go to that sometime. Be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my last topic. Do you know the difference between bobo tea and I think it's boba tea? They're 2 different things, I think. I don't know if you know anything about this.
Are they really different? I didn't know that they were different.
I don't know. I've heard that people call them different things, and I didn't know if you knew if they were the same thing or not.
I thought that they were the same thing.
They're the same thing. I don't know if they are. That's why I'm asking you to see if you knew, because I've heard people say it both ways, and I didn't know if it was 2 different things or the same thing.
You're talking about the tea with the little black dots in them, right? I don't even know.
So. So it's bubble tea. It's bubble and boba or boba or something.
Oh, bubble. I do see some people call it bubble. I think it might be called bubble tea.
But then other people call it boa.
Some people call it boba tea too.
Boba.
Yeah, boba.
So I guess that's the same thing, because when I just looked up boba tea and it came up with bubble tea.
Yeah, this one right here actually says boba/bubble. So
it's the same thing, I guess. So because I've been asking a bunch of people like what they think, and nobody really has known. And I guess now we know that bubble and boba tea is the same thing. So that is her first. Bubble and boba tea are the same thing.
That wasn't even a question that crossed my mind until today.
No, I never knew, but we know now, I guess. So
we know now.
Interesting. Okay, so here are my 5 questions to ask. I ask every guest this who comes on my podcast. So I want to ask you. I think you're going to have some interesting answers. Maybe not. We'll see. I know you like food, and there's a lot of food questions on here, so you should like this. First one, it says, if you had the choice to eat whatever you wanted for the rest of your life and be without health problems, so that means you're completely healthy, you don't like gain weight, you're the perfect like size and shape no matter what you eat. You can eat whatever. So you can either have that, or you could have $5 million cash handed to you right now.
$5 million.
You really would.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, the other one, the earlier is very tempting. I must say.
Yeah.
I mean, but if I were to go with that one, I would say I'd probably drink soda for the rest of my life without any concern. I don't know, but
Yeah. I don't know. I would definitely take the first one. I would think just because you can eat whatever you want, and it's not a limit to one thing. It's just whatever you want. So like if I want a cheeseburger right now and I've already had a pizza today, I can still have a cheeseburger and not have any effect on me at all. Like I mean, it's hard. It's a hard decision, and that's why I at first I had $10 million instead of 5. Then I bumped it down to 5 because I think 10 would be enough for me to take the 10 over the 5.
I'd probably just take it for, I don't know, $1,000. I'd probably take it over eat whatever I want.
Really? I'm really shocked you actually said that.
I mean, is it magic? Like if I said it, would it like come to me or?
No, it's just you could go eat whatever. It's not like
Yeah, then definitely I'd even do it for $1,000. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I know people with like really high metabolisms or whatever, they can pretty much eat whatever they want. It doesn't affect them, but I am not one of those people. So that is exactly why I would take the first choice. But anyway, it's interesting. It's an interesting talking point to see what people would take. Okay, next question. Do you know, I'm sure you probably do. Do you know NF at all, the artist NF?
Yes, I've heard of NF. I know that you're a fan of NF.
I am a very big fan. So, of course, this question's about NF. Can you name 5 NF songs?
No.
You cannot. Can you name 1?
No.
You can't. Oh, my goodness. Wait. I can't believe this is the new discovery. I have to, whenever I see you again, by Wiz Khalifa, no. Whenever I see you again, I have to show you NF because you will be a fan if you listen to it. Almost promised you that.
Okay.
You need to know 5 NF songs eventually in your life. He's awesome.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. This one is probably my favorite question to ask you. I think you'll have some really unique answers to this. You mentioned that you kind of are growing like different, like I don't even know what they're called. Just when you're planting whatever you're planting, like I don't want to say herbs, but whatever they are.
Yeah, herbs. Yeah, herbs.
Yeah.
They're herbs.
So I don't know if that would correlate to this at all, but we'll see. So what are your top 5 favorite food toppings or sauces?
Now, herbs don't count. Those are spices, really. But
Okay.
I don't know. Do spices count? No, spices don't count. Spices are seasoning, and so are herbs. So we're gonna leave that alone.
Okay, so I was wrong. But anyway, I think
toppings for like I don't know, pizza or just like in general.
Anything. It can be any kind of food. Like you can put chocolate chips on something. You can put cheese. Whatever you want. Like
a good topping, cheese pretty much goes well for a lot of things.
Okay.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything. But yeah. Yeah, don't take me up on it, but pretty much everything.
I think it will go good on everything.
Yeah, even bobo tea.
Yes.
But I like cheese.
I don't know about that. I don't think boba tea and cheese would go very well.
No, yeah, probably not. But
so.
cheese in pretty much everything.
Yes.
Cheese, spinach. I like croutons. So like
Okay.
bread maybe.
I wouldn't have thought you would say. I wouldn't think that, but
I mean, like I don't know if we're talking like
no, that
pizza.
counts though. Yeah.
Pizza. I mean, still cheese and spinach. And then I'm not really like a big pepperoni. I'm not a pepperoni guy.
Wow. So when you get pizza, you don't like pepperoni?
I'm not a pepperoni guy, but
Wow.
I'll admit that in party situations where you're in a group of friends
Uh
and
huh.
seven, or there's 8 of you guys, 7 of
Yeah.
them pepperoni fans. I'm not going to say I'm a cheese guy. I did that once, and someone yelled at me and goes, "What are you, a child?" So, you know, said, "You know
I've
what?"
heard my dad said that to me before, or not to me, but to my brother. My brother likes cheese only too. my my dad's like, "Why you're like an 8-year-old child? Why are you not eating pepperoni?"
I'm just, I have taste. Okay, I don't. I'm just not a pepperoni guy.
That's fine. I love
But,
pepperoni myself, but
I mean, I'll eat pepperoni. I just, I'm actually an anchovies guy.
wow.
Yeah,
I've actually never heard anybody say they're an anchovy guy.
I'm an anchovies guy. So no one come at me calling me a child for liking cheese pizza if you can't handle anchovies on your pizza.
Okay. It's funny. So you got like 2 more, I guess. So any sauces, because you named all like toppings, but any like sauces like barbecue sauce, ranch, Chick-fil-A sauce, I don't know, any kind of sauce.
Oh, okay. Well, when you originally said sauce, I was thinking like Alfredo or something like
I mean,
that.
that counts too.
But like
Like you can say that
dipping
too.
sauces,
It
I'm
doesn't
my
matter.
go-to dipping sauce is buffalo.
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 That stuff is hot. I don't like that stuff.
No, it's not hot.
For me,
Well,
it is.
okay.
I'm not a huge like spicy, not a huge spicy guy. So
It doesn't even really depend on where you get it from.
like
It's not hot.
Chick-fil-A buffalo sauce because I've tasted that. I don't really like it.
That's not hot at all. Yeah, Chick-fil-A
Really?
isn't
Okay.
hot at all.
For me, it is.
Are you serious?
For me, yes.
Oh my gosh. Then you would die from the, what's it called? Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Their buffalo is
Yeah,
hot.
I've had that before and I almost died. So
Yeah.
I definitely know that.
Yeah, and I've had their hot wings and that almost made me die. So and when they rank them, here's the hot one and here's the buffalo.
Huh.
So I know how you must have been feeling.
Yes, I would. Yeah, it was bad. Okay, cool. Well, those are some interesting answers. So you said like anchovies, cheese, buffalo sauce, and spinach. You said also. There's some interesting choices. And croutons. You said croutons also.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the bread, I mean, just, any, I don't know, big gluten guy, big pasta,
Yeah,
pasta, carbs. I love
yeah.
carbs.
Man, carbs. They can. They're so good, but they can kill you slowly.
Oof, they are. Oof,
Okay.
times hand on the shoulder.
Yes. Okay. So, are you a puffed or crunchy Cheetos guy?
Ooh, puffed.
Really?
Cheeto puffs.
I love crunchy Cheetos. I'm like, I put this on here just because most people disagree with me, but I love crunchy.
The crunchy Cheetos are like almost like cracklins, you know what I mean?
What
You ever
I've
had
never,
cracklins?
I've never had those.
Nick, you ever been on a road trip?
Yeah,
You ever gone in a gas station?
I have. Yeah,
Ever bought a bag of chips from a gas station?
yeah. Not those
Oh,
though.
right by the chips is the pork cracklins.
I'm gonna look. Next time I go on a road trip, maybe this summer, I'll look for them, and when I get them, I'll send a picture of them to you.
You have to get Frank's pork
Okay.
cracklins, and I'll say chicharrones.
Okay.
Chicharrones.
I'll remember that. Interesting. Okay, the last question before we start to wrap up here. If you could replace all the water in the world, what would you replace it with?
Well, all the water in the world is salt water, really. So I'd probably replace
Well,
it with fresh water.
no, don't give me that answer. No, I'm talking like everything's going to be okay. Like everything will function fine. There will still be water in the world, but it's just something else.
Oh, like if water. Okay, so if like something like replaced water, but like everything still functioned, like that was
Yes.
still water.
Yeah.
Okay, I
But it
don't even
also
know.
like if you wanted to pour like a drink in there, it would taste like that drink. You know,
Probably like Kool-Aid.
really interesting. Be a lot of red bodies all around.
I don't know, maybe lemonade. I like lemonade.
Yeah. I
I
think
go to a restaurant, lemonade, it really slaps. It
yeah, I
really
think Nicholas when he was on my podcast, last podcast I did actually, I think he said lemonade also. If I remember right, I think he said lemonade. But yeah, lemonade would be a good choice. I'm getting this theme with lemons and lemonade with you because you want to grow a lemon tree and you like lemonade. So
dude, I am a lemonade critic.
whenever we whenever we get back to Longview for school, I'll take you to Chick-fil-A and get you buffalo sauce and lemonade, and you'll be a happy guy.
Actually, here's what I do. I do lemonade
Uh,
with a splash of Sprite.
that's what Nicholas does also. Or he does it. He mixes it more. Like he does half lemonade, half Sprite.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do.
Okay. Well, I don't. I'm surprised you don't know that about him because
No, I didn't know that about him.
wow. Well, you gotta hit him up now. He loves that. Yeah.
Dude, that is literally the drink of kings right there. It
Yeah.
makes the lemonade so much more fluffy. It like kisses your tongue, kisses like your mouth and everything, but it's so
Uh,
much more acidic than Sprite. I don't know why Sprite hasn't thought about doing like a drink like that. I mean, they're
yeah.
idiots over there at corporate, you know what I mean, Nick?
Yeah. No. Like they have all these Sprite like flavors, but they don't have a lemonade flavor. They have like Sprite orange, Sprite cherry. Like they don't have Sprite lemonade.
I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but unpopular opinion. Lemons are way better than limes, and limes are not the same thing as lemons.
I don't think that's unpopular. I think I agree actually with that.
Because some people be like, "Oh, can I have a lemon?" And they're like, "Just use a lime." Like it's not the same thing.
It's real. It's not the same thing.
It's
Like you
not.
don't. I mean, you ask at a restaurant when they say, "Do you want lime in your water? Do you want lemon in your water?" Those are two different things.
It is very different. Thank you
Yeah,
for.
yeah. I don't know why anybody would say they're the same because they're
There are
not.
people. There are people.
Yeah, not. I'm not one of those people. So it's funny. Okay, we're about at the hour mark, I think. So I think it's a good time to wrap it up. This is one of my longer podcasts, but we had a great time. We talked some serious and we got into some fun stuff. So I think we kind of covered every kind of topic that we could on this podcast. So we did good. So Blake, tell them about where they can find you at your podcast and at your main Instagram and stuff like that.
Yes. So you can follow us on Instagram at the Bickle Bros Pod. We give updates weekly and bi-weekly about the podcasts and some information about them. And we do funny Photoshop stuff. It's
Yeah.
really kind of artsy and really tasteful on the Instagram. A really cool follow. I'm sure that Nick would agree
Yes.
as well. But you can also follow us on Spotify and Apple Music, as well as the Anchor program, where you can follow our podcasts and get more information and stuff like that. We also have a YouTube channel, but that's whatever.
Yeah.
But
I know
Nick,
that Nicholas is more in charge of the YouTube, and he said that he's kind of slacked off a little bit on putting stuff out on YouTube. But anyway, he'll get it. He said he might just post a bunch of them at one time. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, but this channel, go follow and subscribe. Subscribe on College and Back on YouTube, and follow the Instagram at College and Back. I post mainly on YouTube. This will actually be my first probably upload on Spotify and Anchor. I'm going to try those too this time. But I make videos as well as podcasts. It's the first podcast since coming back. Because I used to just do podcasts at the beginning, and now I made videos, and I still am making videos, but also podcasts now. So the podcasts will all be on Spotify and Anchor. The videos will just stay on YouTube because you don't really want to watch, or you don't want to listen to a video. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. So anyway, but yeah, so thank you, Blink. I called you Blink. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to say Blink.
It's okay.
You're very full of life. You're not blank. But anyway, so thank you, Blake, for being on this podcast. I will definitely have you back again sometime. And thank you all for watching / listening to this podcast. And I will see you guys next time.